An officially recommended reading list for Irish schools advises teaching boys as young as 2 that they can wear lipstick, makeup and girls' clothes. This is Ben Scallan and you're watching Gript Media. Before we start the video, if you want to support Gript on our work, make sure to click like, subscribe and comment even if you have absolutely nothing to say. Just comment if you're happy with the material that's being taught in Irish schools or not. Because by liking, commenting and sharing, this channel will get boosted in the algorithm and get seen by more people. So if you want to see this channel grow, just take 2 seconds right now to like, comment and do your part to support independent journalism. And with that said, on to the video. In life, there's tolerance and being open-minded, which is all well and good within reason, and then there's whatever the hell this is. Ireland's official curriculum body has just advised that babies and toddlers should be told stories about being transgender and gender fluid. In addition to this, it also advises teaching children aged 0 and up that they can wear lipstick and the opposite sex's clothing, and encourages junior infant students to be read stories such as The Boy in the Dress, all about a boy who wants to wear girls' clothes and change his gender identity. The advice comes from the website of the National Council for Curriculum and Assessment, or NCCA, which is a sub-branch of the Irish Department of Education. Regarding SPAG curriculum, the website has a list of resources and book lists it recommends for junior and senior infants classes. The resources presented in this section are suggested for teaching junior and senior infant pupils. Each resource is also freely available to use in Irish primary classrooms. And one of the resources included is a book list by Children's Books Ireland entitled Free to Be Me. So let's take a look at what kind of books are listed here, shall we? What are children supposed to read according to the Irish government? Well, we have one here called Fred Gets Dressed, which it says is aimed at 2 to 4-year-olds, as you can see here. Now, I wonder what this book is about. Let's read the description they offer to find out more. Fred loves to roam the house naked until he finds inspiration in his parents' closet. Dad's drab attire proves tricky, so Fred dons his mum's attire instead. Frock, lipstick and pearls included. Upon finding him, Mum offers the final touches and Dad and Dog get dolled up too. So nothing to see here folks, just the Irish state recommending a book about cross-dressing and wearing lipstick to toddlers as young as 2. Notably, at the start of this reading list, a foreword by Children's Minister Roderick O'Gorman is included endorsing the book list. He says, "I hope you find a book here that brings you joy and lessons to carry with you for the rest of your life." One might have thought that after the Peter Tatchell scandal, he might have decided to steer clear of this sort of controversy, but there you go, what can you say? These lists also include the book Julian is a Mermaid by Jessica Love, in which a little boy wants to be a mermaid and so begins to wear a girl's dress. Julian is transported into a magical and colourful daydream and wants to be a mermaid too. At home, Julian makes his dress and headdress out of household objects. And this is aimed at children as young as 3 years old, and in fact in another NCCA provided document it lists the same book for children as young as 2. It's described as great for talking about gender identity and expression, as well as gender fluidity and gender as a spectrum. So again, the Irish Department of Education wants to talk to your 2-year-old about being gender fluid and a cross-dresser. Does that sound okay with you? This list also includes a suggested class activity after reading the book in which students are encouraged to think about how gender might be expressed as a spectrum rather than a binary. So to quickly translate that from alien speak to a human audience, children as young as 2 or 3 should consider that there may be more genders than just male and female. That's literally what they're saying. They want your toddler to believe that there are many genders and a whole spectrum of genders. The NCCA goes on to list a group of children's books for well-being put together in 2020 with a list of books to be used in junior infants SPAG classes. These books include ones such as The Boy in the Dress by David Williams, which we mentioned earlier. And believe it or not, I actually read this thing so you don't have to. So here's the basic story. As the title implies, this tale is about a 12-year-old boy named Dennis who dresses up in girls' clothes and changes his name to Denise. His clothing is so convincing that he's even asked on a date by a male who thinks he's a real female. In the course of the story, however, he's ultimately expelled from class as his cross-dressing violates the school's uniform policy. But he later finds out that the school's male principal is also a secret cross-dresser who wears women's clothes in private. Denise then admits that he's, quote, blackmailing the principal. He actually uses the word blackmail and says that he will expose the headmaster's habits unless he's readmitted to the school. And so ultimately he gets his wish and Dennis's clothing choices are accepted. So here we have cross-dressing, secret fetishes, and blackmailing of authority figures all rolled into one happy children's story. Truly a source of wholesome fun for the whole family. Under the theme of gender identity, the document also includes books such as My Princess Boy and also 10,000 Dresses, each about a boy who identifies as a girl and wants to dress as a girl. Again now, remember, these stories are aimed at junior infant students. Another list included by the NCCA is Rainbow Roads, a series of LGBTQI+ themed books which was produced in partnership with On Post for reasons which are beyond my comprehension. This includes a story for 2-year-olds entitled Frocodile about Cliff, the male crocodile who wants to wear a dress. Again, this is about cross-dressing. Another story aimed at 9-year-olds is about yet another boy who believes he's a girl and wants to play a female role in the school play, etc., etc. These are just some of the examples of recommended books. There are many, many more, but you get the idea. This revelation comes as Education Minister Norma Foley recently announced that junior cert students will be taught about pornography as part of sex education classes, and already Irish education authorities have told an Oireachtas committee meeting that teachers are often uncomfortable with teaching sex education curriculum topics, as in many cases they feel that the material isn't age appropriate. Well, Janie Mac, I wonder what would have given them that idea. Now, as a brief aside, you're probably shocked by all this, and you probably haven't heard this information anywhere else. So if you want to stay informed of these things, I'd urge you to sign up for a monthly donation to Gript to keep us producing content like this. We've done a whole series of investigations into the Irish education system and will continue to do so going forward. But like any organisation, we need finances to keep going. You're not going to be hearing this stuff from RTE or anywhere else, and we don't have a licence fee like they do. We only have people like you. So if you can spare €5 or €10 a month to get updated on news that you actually care about for a change, please consider chipping in. But anyway, back to the issue at hand. So think of everything you've just heard in the following context. The Irish education system is a very impressive institution, and by that I mean it's impressively poor. Now, of course, there are individual teachers and schools that are excellent, and more power to them. This is not a jab at anyone in particular, but on a broad national scale, there's something seriously wrong with the way students are being taught in Ireland. And our first clue that this is true is the Irish language. After all, we may be the only country in the world where everyone is forced to spend hours learning a language every week for about 13 years, and usually people don't achieve any kind of fluency. From the age of 5 until adulthood, we learn Irish for hours a day, and most people still come out the other side of the school system unable to hold a basic conversation as Gaeilge. If there was a personal trainer with thousands of clients, and after almost a decade and a half, the majority of people that he had trained were almost as unfit as when they started, most people would eventually say, this guy is clearly a spoofer who doesn't know what he's doing. And education should be no different. But this issue is not just confined to Gaeilge. Even basic literacy is on the ropes in this country, as reported by the Irish Times in 2019. Student literacy levels, it is almost as if they are word blind. Lecturer Greg Foley could scarcely believe what he was seeing when marking his students' lab reports recently. Some of the stuff I was grading was the worst I'd ever seen, even from good students. They just couldn't see the rubbish they were handing up, says Foley, an associate professor at Dublin City University's School of Biotechnology. Despite explicit instructions, I got graphs with no labels or units, tables not labeled. They were putting capital letters in the middle of sentences, commas where there should be full stops. It was almost as if they were word blind. So Foley wasn't in the least bit surprised when a senior official at the Organisation for Economic Cooperation and Development, or OECD, expressed concern last week at a huge drop in literacy standards among Irish university graduates. Dirk van Dam, a senior official at the OECD's Directorate for Education and Skills, said latest data showed up to 6% of graduates were functionally illiterate. Low levels of basic literacy or functional illiteracy refer to reading and writing skills that are inadequate to manage daily living and employment tasks that require reading skills beyond a basic level. So actually think about what's being said here. These are college graduates, as in they graduated from college and got their degree despite being functionally illiterate. And in case you're wondering, that 6% figure being given is significantly worse than most of our European neighbours. So while literacy standards plummet, our native language dies, and many of our universities drop in global rankings in recent years, what is the government focused on? Well, making sure that toddlers and junior infant students get taught about cross-dressing and pornography. A country that won't stand up against the corruption of its children is a country that is lost. It's not my job to tell you how to feel, that's up to you. But if you want to know my personal view, every parent in Ireland should be going ballistic and demanding that anybody involved in this crap, up to and including the government ministers, should be fired today, because they have no place being near children or education. But hey, that's just me. Please like and share this video, and if you enjoyed it, please consider signing up for a monthly donation via the link on screen to help us produce more content like this. Alternative media like Gript needs all the assistance it can get, and every donation goes a long way. As always, thanks for watching.